Hey everybody, so today in this video I'm going to be teaching you all, or showing you all, no I'm not really teaching anything, I'm just showing you how I make my little protection sachets. And yeah, they're really good for protection, obviously, against, whether it's against like negative spirits or entities or energies, or whether it's like negativity from another person, or just, for good luck and peace and prosperity. You can really customize these to your wants and your needs and your situation, and that's really awesome. So I'm not going to spend too much time blibber blabbering, and I'll just get into showing you how I make my protection sachets. So the materials that you will need to make your protection sachets are a coffee filter or some kind of coffee filter equivalent. I like using coffee filters because they are inexpensive, they're malleable, flexible, easy to work with. They don't rip instantly when they get wet, and they are porous enough so that whatever you're putting in your protection sachet, the scent can diffuse through and you're able to smell it. And maybe that's not necessarily what you want, because maybe what you're putting in doesn't necessarily smell the best, but it's just make sure that the properties of the ingredients you're putting into your sachet escapes and is able to do their job together. You will also need a pair of scissors, some string, twine, ribbon, whatever. I'm just using sewing thread. And a variety of herbs. Today I'm using ground sage, lavender flowers, and rosemary. But I'm also adding in some sea salt and some graveyard dirt. And I'll talk more about the purpose of each of these when I get to putting it into the sachet. I also have lit a working candle and a quartz crystal here because I feel like quartz is a very powerful crystal, and I just like to use it in a variety of magical workings. If you are into crystals or you have crystals or whatever, black tourmaline would also be really nice to have while you're doing any kind of magical workings involving protection. But I just like to have clear quartz because you can pretty much use it for anything. Okay, so I'm just going to start off. This is pretty basic. I'm going to put the herbs in. I'm going to add the ground sage in. And sage smells really, really good. Or at least I think it does. And I'm just going to add like 2 pinches of that. You can really add as much as you want, like it's just use your own judgment. Sage is amazing for purification, as well as protection. It's more for purification, but it also is a very good protective herb, and I think it's something that, in any magical working can be used. It's a very versatile herb. Next I'm going to add my lavender flowers, and lavender, I love it for the smell. I mean, I think everybody just loves lavender for the smell, and I'm just going to add just a little tiny fingerful of lavender flowers. Actually, I'm going to add 2 because it smells really great. But it's very, very good for peace and relaxation, and I think when you're doing anything involving protection, peace and purification should automatically be kind of added in there, because there's different levels of protection and different kinds of protection. There's like an aggressive protection, which can, it might not work in the way that you want it to, but if you have just a peaceful and, pure kind of protection spell or charm around your house or in your room or wherever, that won't necessarily like attract more like negative spirits, if that makes any sense, or at least in my mind that's what I think. And then I'm adding rosemary in because rosemary is, well, it smells amazing and it'll smell amazing with the lavender. Rosemary and lavender is probably one of the best scent combinations, but it's amazing for expelling negative spirits, demonic spirits, evil spirits, whatever you believe in. Oh, almost tipped my candle over, but whatever it is, it'll repel negativities and negative energies, which is essentially what you want to do with your kind of protection charms. At least that's, what I and my intention is to repel negative energy, whether it comes from an entity or a spirit, or it just comes from an individual or a situation. Repelling negativity is never, necessarily a bad thing, whether it's to repel like a spirit or a like paranormal supernatural being, or just something in your everyday life. Next, I'm going to add sea salt in, and this isn't like anything fancy. This is just regular sea salt that you can get at the grocery store, and I just put it in this jar. I'm gonna add just a bit of sea salt. Like I said, you can just judge on your own. And sea salt, again, is very good for purification. It's also something that can represent each of the elements, but specifically earth. And earth is a really good grounding element. Usually when you ground, or when you are trying to find some sort of stability or wisdom or anything like that, you call upon the element earth. I think earth is definitely an element that should be included in something like protection, because it is more slow working, and so its magic or its power or whatever you want to call it is drawn out so that your sachets protect for a longer period of time. And, again, salt is just, it's really good for cleansing and purification. So, I mean, like, naturally, salt is, when you use like a salt scrub on your skin, it like clears out your pores. And so you think of that, like salt is like clearing out the negative energy when you use it. And this is totally optional. I mean, like all of these things are totally optional. Like you can just use whatever you feel is best to use. But I like to put in some grave dirt. Now, this is kind of a strange ingredient. I got this from the cemetery that is in my town. It's not from any specific grave. It's just the dirt that was on the cemetery. And some people believe that if you have a local like spirit haunting you, or a spirit haunting you, if you take some dirt from the grave that they were buried, that'll help protect you against that spirit. Now, I don't necessarily believe that's true, or I don't really know, but just in case there are some local spirits lingering. Like, I live in a very old house, so just in case that there's some local like energies still lingering that could possibly be malevolent or anything of that sort, this will just help to ensure that me and my family and whoever comes to my house are protected from that. So I just like to add a little bit of grave dirt, but that's completely optional. It's totally dependent on like what you believe personally, and that's kind of messy, so that's a little bit gross. Alright, so I've added in all of my ingredients that I'm going to put into my protection sachet. So I'm just going to get a little piece of thread and cut it, obviously. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And I'm going to gather the little pouch up into like, so it looks like this. So it just kind of looks like a little bit like a present or something like that. And I'm just going to wrap the twine around it, I'm just going to wrap the thread around it and tie it so it's secure and nothing falls out and gets all over the place, because that just ruins your day. When herbs go flying, everybody's crying. Okay, so once you're finished tying off your pouch and everything's all secure inside, you want to take a marker, a permanent marker, or just a regular marker, it really doesn't matter, and you're going to want to draw some sort of sacred symbol on the bottom of your pouch. And so if your family or you personally have a sacred symbol, or there's a specific symbol of protection that you want to use, or whatever, draw it on the bottom of your pouch. Like, depending on how many of these you're making, you can have them corresponding. Like, if you're making one for each of the elements to put at the four corners or whatever, you can draw a specific element symbol. As everything in your practice should be meaningful, and there should be a purpose to what you're doing. So today I'm going to draw just a simple pentagram. So when you're completed your protection sachet, you can charge it on your altar or hold it over your working candle, or however you want to consecrate it. Just do that. Everybody's way of consecrating it is individual. Like, if you want to leave it out in the light of the full moon or something like that, then you go ahead and do that now, just to give it an extra bit of power, so that its magic can be, more potent. So, for now I'm just going to hold it over my working candle beside my clear quartz and hopefully charge a little bit of that energy into it. And this is my completed protection sachet, bag, ball thing, whatever you want to call it. It's for protection. This is how I like to protect myself and my house and my room and my sacred space. You can do a lot of things with these. You can bury them on your property, because these are all like natural ingredients that are going into it. Like, coffee filters are biodegradable, and all of the herbs and things, they came from the earth anyways, so it's safe to put in the ground. I mean, the only thing is, like, the permanent marker is probably a bit iffy, but you can definitely substitute that for something like pencil or whatever you want to put on it. You can hang them in your house. You can hang them in front of your door or your windows. You can put them, above your bed or on your bedside table at night. You can put them in places where you just get like negative vibes from. They're really versatile. You can make them in, fives, and if you wanted to make like one for each of the elements or one for each of the phases of the moon. They're totally versatile, and you can definitely personalize them to your own personal needs, obviously. What else does personalize mean? Anyways, I hope that you liked this how-to video, and if you have any requests, just leave them in the comments down below. Let me know if you try this and if it works for you or what you did differently, because I would love to know, or make a video response or anything like that, all of that jazz. And I look forward to talking to you guys in my next video. So I will see y'all later. Oh, and blessed be.